Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome to Dwight's Perspective. On this channel, we discuss subjects from a young earth creationist Christian worldview. And today's topic of discussion comes from Harper's Weekly newspaper. The article is dated January 17th, 1874. It's from the Home and Foreign Gossip section. It says, a singular sort of a society has been formed in Belgium. Its announced object is to collect waste paper and sell it for the benefit of the Pope. The society has made an appeal to all possessors of bad books, such as the works of Voltaire, Rousseau, Diderot, Volney, and other detestable authors, to surrender them for waste paper. So, upon reading that, I figured I would, not knowing these people, I figured I would look into them. And we'll start with Voltaire. He's our detestable author number one. And let me show you what I found. And this is not an exhaustive list. This is just the tip of the iceberg on this guy. Voltaire was a key Enlightenment thinker and a deist. He challenged orthodoxy by asking, what is faith? Is it to believe that which is evident? No. It is perfectly evident to my mind that there exists a necessary, eternal, supreme, and intelligent being. There is no matter of faith, but of reason. In 1733, Voltaire met Marquis de Chalais and published Letters on the English. This marked the beginning of Voltaire's open criticism and intolerance of established religions. They explored philosophy, particularly metaphysical questions concerning the existence of God and the soul. They analyzed the Bible and concluded that much of its content was dubious. In one of his many denunciations of priests of every religious sect, Voltaire describes them as those who rise from an incestuous bed, manufacture 100 versions of God, then eat and drink God, and I cleaned this last part up, then urinate and defecate God. But what he actually said was much more vulgar. Historians have described Voltaire's description of the history of Christianity as propagandistic. His philosophical dictionary is responsible for the myth that the early church had 50 Gospels before settling on the standard canonical 4. This same book he authored is guilty of propagating the myth that the canon of the New Testament was decided at the First Council of Nicaea. Voltaire is partially responsible for the misattribution of the expression, I believe because it is absurd, to the Church Fathers. Furthermore, despite the death of Hypatia, a Neoplatonist philosopher, astronomer, and mathematician, being a result of finding herself in the crossfire of a mob during a political feud in 4th century Alexandria, Voltaire promoted the theory that she was stripped naked and murdered by the minions of the Bishop Cyril of Alexandria, concluding by stating that when one finds a beautiful woman completely naked, it is not for the purpose of massacring her. Voltaire meant for this argument to bolster one of his anti-Catholic tracts. In a 1763 essay, Voltaire supported the toleration of other religions and ethnicities. And I quote, "It doesn't require great art or magnificently trained eloquence to prove that Christians should tolerate each other. I, however, am going further. I say that we should regard all men as our brothers. What? The Turk my brother? The Chinaman my brother? The Jew? The Sime? Yes, without doubt. Are we not all children of the same Father and creatures of the same God? In a letter to Frederick II, King of Prussia, dated January 5th, 1767, he wrote about Christianity. Ours, the Christian religion, is assuredly the most ridiculous, the most absurd, and the most bloody religion which has ever infected this world. Your Majesty will do the human race an eternal service by extirpating this infamous superstition. I do not say among the rabble, who are not worthy of being enlightened and who are apt for every yoke. I say among honest people, among men who think, among those who wish to think. My one regret in dying is that I cannot aid you in this noble enterprise, the finest and most respectable which the human mind can point out. In The Bible Finally Explained, he expressed the following attitude to lay reading of the Bible. It is a characteristic of fanatics who read the Holy Scriptures to tell themselves, God killed, so I must kill. Abraham lied, Jacob deceived, Rachel stole, so I must steal, deceive, lie. But wretch, you are neither Rachel, nor Jacob, nor Abraham, nor God. You are just a mad fool, and the popes who forbade the reading of the Bible were extremely wise. Voltaire's early opinion of the Bible was mixed. Although influenced by Socinian works such as the library of the Polish Brethren called Unitarians, Voltaire's skeptical attitude to the Bible separated him from Unitarian theologians like Fausto Sozzini, or even political biblical writers like John Locke. His statements on religion also brought down on him the fury of the Jesuits, and in particular Claude Adrien Nonet. This did not hinder his religious practice, though it did win for him a bad reputation in certain religious circles. Voltaire was later deemed to influence Edward Gibbon in claiming Christianity was a contributor to the fall of the Roman Empire in his book, The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. As Christianity advances, disasters befall the Roman Empire. Arts, science, literature decay. Barbarism and all its revolting commitments are made to see the consequences of its decisive triumph, and the unwary reader is conducted with matchless dexterity to the desired conclusion, the abominable Manchesium of Candide, and, in fact, of all the productions of Voltaire's historic school, viz., which viz means for example, that instead of being a merciful, ameliorating, benignant visitation, the religion of Christians would rather seem to be a scourge sent on man by the author of all evil. However, Voltaire also acknowledged the self-sacrifice of Christians. He wrote, "Perhaps there is nothing greater on earth than the sacrifice of youth and beauty, often of high birth, made by the gentle sex in order to work in hospitals for the relief of human misery, the sight of which is so revolting to our delicacy. People separated from the Roman religion have imitated, but imperfectly so generous, a charity." Yet, according to Daniel Rops, Voltaire's hatred of religion increased with the passage of years. The attack, launched at first against clericalism and theocracy, ended up in a furious assault upon Holy Scripture, the dogmas of the Church, and even upon the person of Jesus Christ himself, who he depicted now as a degenerate. Voltaire's reasoning may be summed up in his well-known saying, "Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities." In 1744, he found a new love, his niece. Letters written to her, only found in 1957, show this attraction was clearly sexual. Didn't he say something about an incestuous bed earlier? Voltaire is said to have had a homosexual experience with an Englishman while in England. When the Englishman suggested that they repeat it, Voltaire is alleged to have said, "If you try it once, you are a philosopher. If twice, you are a sodomite." Voltaire predicted that Christianity would perish within 100 years of his death. About 50 years from his death, his old property would be used as a Bible repository, and Christianity is alive and well over 250 years later. Upon moving into his new property, which is located 3 miles from CERN, by the way, Voltaire demolished an old parish church on the same site to clear the view from the front of his house, but was forced by church authorities to build another one. Annoyed, he affixed over the pediment a plaque with the motto, "Erected to God by Voltaire," with his name larger than that of God. He had his tomb built in the shape of a pyramid on the side of his new chapel. His body was never placed there, though. He died during a trip to Paris. He described this chapel, after completing it, as the only church in the universe that was dedicated to God alone. All others are dedicated to saints. For me, I prefer to build a church for the Master rather than to his servants. Where have we seen this pyramid before, guys? In 1778, Ben Franklin, while serving as a minister to France, convinced an aged Voltaire to openly become a Freemason. Franklin had already been a Mason for 40 years by that time, but, according to Freemason.com, long before Voltaire's initiation, he had been a Mason in his heart, and I believe behind the scenes as well. A month later, a priest came to Voltaire on his deathbed and asked him to renounce Satan. Voltaire responded, Now, my good man, this is no time to be making enemies." The deeply Christian Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart wrote to his father the year of Voltaire's death, saying, "The arch scoundrel Voltaire has finally kicked the bucket." Voltaire's nickname given to him as a child from his parents was Zozo. This is the same name of a wildly prolific Ouija board demon. Could this be Voltaire still causing trouble from beyond the grave? I offer you the same choice today Voltaire had on his deathbed. What choice will you make? Don't make the same choice as Voltaire. Choose Jesus today. You're going to need his protection from the coming tribulation. And there's not much time left, guys. Until next time, God bless.